Hello everyone. I wanted to do a late night video, something I don't usually do. I'm outside of my office where I usually make my videos, but as I was driving around doing one of my side jobs, I was thinking about certainty. And I think that certainty is something that is covered a good amount, especially with OCD recovery, but I kind of wanted to give my own take on it. Turn the slide on real quick. Throughout my journey so far. So why is certainty such a big problem when it comes to OCD recovery or any aspect of life? So humans, and I'm going to make this video about certainty and comfort. So both. Did you hear that? So certainty, nothing is certain. The only thing we know as humans is that we die. So that is a certainty. Gravity is a certainty. So these are very obvious examples. But what happens is we get these irrational beliefs based around perfectionism, and then it creates these, well, this is certain to happen. This must happen. And these beliefs are emotionally distressing to OCD people only. I mean, these types of musts, shoulds, and certainties disrupt most people's lives. And when I say most, 99.999%. In my opinion, the only people who probably don't use certainties to an emotional detriment are people who have gone through OCD recovery or have studied cognitive behavioral therapy very in depth and practice it, or are Stoics, or Stoicism, which is where cognitive behavioral therapy / rational emotive behavioral therapy came from. And how many people like that are around? Very few, probably less than two hands, seriously. So it's not an easy thing to accomplish, but it really does help with the recovery process, because some of the things along the way are, so let's talk about some of my problems with certainty. For me, had some perfectionistic issues, was trying to get everything perfect. Mine wasn't so much about it needs to feel perfect as it is the recovery journey has to be perfect. I'd be very strict on myself about my routines. I have to get up at this time every day. I have to do this. I must study X amount of hours a day. I must read. Instead of just some days I'm going to read more than others, and some days I'm not going to read as much. Some days I'm going to be more productive than others. Some days I'm not going to be as productive. And these types of certainties that you look for are just an illusion, and what they're doing is just causing emotional distress. Now let's talk about comfort. Humans are way too obsessed with comfort. I know it is a cliche statement, and I don't really use positive affirmations, but the majority of people do not grow through comfort. You grow through hardships, you grow through emotional and physical pain, and you don't really grow when things are comfortable. If I was to take 500 of the most successful CEOs in business right now and ask them if it was comfortable to get to the position they're at, all of them would say no, more than likely. So being in a point in your life where you're trying to grow, there's going to be some discomfort. And OCD recovery, majority of your journey in the beginning towards the middle, still for me, has a lot of discomfort. And that's disheartening for people, because we're sold in this society on this fake idea of comfort. Comfort foods, instant gratification. And all it does is perpetuate the problem that life is not comfortable for the majority of people. Now, if you have absolutely perfect mental health and you were born into a very, very wealthy family and everything was given to you, most things in your life probably will be comfortable, but that is a rarity. And what humans like to do is we like to compare ourselves to the outliers. This is a very weird example, but people will compare themselves to LeBron James or Cristiano Ronaldo or Derek Jeter. These people are outliers, and they're cool to examine and they're cool to look at, but basing your life and comparing yourself to these people has absolutely no logical or rational sense whatsoever. And this is a major, major, major problem in all of mental health. And humans do it constantly. So, so certainty, as we say, certainty is an illusion. We definitely speak by that. I know I do. I've learned that from Rob and his content as well, but it really is. And throughout your OCD recovery journey, you really are going to try and get things as certain as you can in the beginning, because we have a disorder. It just makes sense that you're trying to bog down acceptance. You're trying to bog down your recovery process. And it's not until you accept the unknown where things actually start to become accepted. That is where acceptance comes in. It doesn't come in from forcing it. It doesn't come in from, oh, I need to read X amount. I need to get my habits right all the time. Because humans are fallible, humans make mistakes, and humans fall off the horse. And if anyone tells you that they're perfect all the time, they're flat out lying. So, and again, comfortability. We all like to have comfort, and comfort from our parents, comfort from other people, comfort foods. But the reality is, to get to OCD recovery, you're going to have to push through the most probable uncomfortable feelings you've ever dealt with. So for me, I didn't really have high anxiety for the first 9 to 12 months of my somatic OCD. I kind of was just hyper aware. And then I became extremely anxiety based. So this is where I really dived into GAD, generalized anxiety disorder, where I would anxiety pumping every second of every single day, 24 hours a day, nonstop, like a lion was chasing me. I just had a conversation with a buddy who's in the back of the somatic OCD recovery a couple hours ago, and we were talking about, it feels like a lion is chasing you at all times. Everyone has different physical symptomatology. Mine's more tightness in my neck, my sternocleidomastoid muscle right here. My hyper awareness gets really bad. I get a lot of palpitations, and those are my particular symptoms that I experience through anxiety. But anxiety can mimic all sorts of symptoms. I got GERD, not really bad, but I would have GERD for maybe an hour or two, 3 or 4 times a week. That's kind of gone away. But, and then trying to find out, trying to get certainty that these are anxiety symptoms. You just have to, when we talk about living your life parallel to OCD, for the physical sensations and all of that stuff, that is more important than you think it is, unfortunately, because it really is an important part of the OCD journey. And this is why, trying to bog down that certainty of acceptance doesn't work. All you're doing is creating another potential aspect for OCD to latch onto. And more than likely, OCD is going to latch onto recovery because it's a disorder and it doesn't want, it's protecting you. That's really what's going on here. And that is a huge issue when it comes down to the OCD recovery process. So just to touch on a couple things, I'm sitting in the McDonald's parking lot, so the guy keeps coming out and looking at me. It's hilarious. So a couple things to talk about, summarize. Certainty and comfort. Okay, humans are highly obsessed with them, and have their own irrationalities. Again, certainty is mostly irrational in all senses because we believe in certainty, and it gives us this false sense of reassurance. And again, this is not just OCD sufferers that suffer with this. On top of that, comfort is something that I personally love going towards uncomfortability. So that is not easy to do at all times. There's a lot of times, especially now with me starting a business, this is a good thing to talk about because I really kind of overwork a lot, especially right now. So you really can do things through discomfort that you don't think are possible in a lot of ways. So I know people will say, well, I can't do that. And there's lots of videos on this channel about the I can't stand it or this awfulizing. I know a recent video, I can't remember who did it. It might have been Christy. So you really can grow and do things when you think there's absolutely no way you can do it. When you look at the likes of Tesla and these guys, they are, they really, and Howard Hughes, they really didn't have any understanding of OCD, and they accomplished so much. So you can accomplish more than you think, and I think that's a really important topic to touch on because, in our OCD brain, we are convinced that we cannot do things because we have OCD, or that we have to wait for a right feeling to have certainty to move towards recovery. And recovery doesn't happen in that sense. And that's something me and Rob and I, proper grammar in English, had to really talk about. Oh, shit. My light turned off. Oh, turn back on. So, and this is really, really, really important. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Again, this is just kind of a whim video. I was really driving around thinking about how much humans are obsessed with certainty, just based around a couple different, societal issues that are going on right now in the world. And I thought it was important to touch on, and I wanted to talk about how uncomfortable I have been through this process so far, 6 months in. Still deal with a lot of discomfort, but more accepting of that discomfort. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you for listening. Have a great night.